All right. Well, thank you for coming. This session is being recorded. Welcome to Gamifying Generative AI as a way to teach AI literacy. I'm Sierra Adare-Tasiwoopa, and today we're going to explore one method of gamifying generative AI, Gen AI for short. I have started the recording, and this presentation is sponsored by futureofai.org. I'll warn you right now that on some of my slides, I have way more text than I usually do. It's for the benefit of those watching the recording. They can pause the video and read the slides in addition to listening to the presentation. I also have a point of clarification before we begin. I'm intentionally calling it Gen AI literacy versus other forms of AI literacy, such as AI used in medicine and, of course, robots. All right, and I definitely cannot see the chat while I'm doing the presentation, so please put your questions in and we will get to them at the end. All right, so what does research tell us? Some key points are that Gen AI is compelling educators to think creatively about what comes as far as assignments, online discussions, even exams. Instructors can utilize Gen AI to challenge students to examine embedded biases in Gen AI's output. Instructors can also use Gen AI to help students develop ethical and equitable solutions to problems. On the one hand, employers across business and industry complain that recent college graduates lack 21st century durable skills, critical thinking, oral and written communication, collaboration, problem solving, decision-making, and empathy. On the other hand, research shows that gamification increases students' engagement with course content. Nevertheless, the games that most impact students' understanding and their knowledge gains, as well as retention of that knowledge, contain challenges designed to draw learners beyond their comfort zone. Furthermore, an enticing scenario can foster empathy and help build cultural and social understanding. As well, a well-crafted game utilizing Gen AI can not only teach students Gen AI literacy, it can boost students' 21st century skills and competencies in the process. I define Gen AI literacy as students being able to recognize, use, and analyze Gen AI ethically and responsibly. Students obtain AI literacy through learning how it works and recognizing its advantages and disadvantages. In other words, knowing when and how to use or not use Gen AI. As you can see, among the advantages, it can help students brainstorm ideas, come up with topics for an assignment. But on the flip side, the disadvantages are privacy concerns, accuracy, it definitely hallucinates, and no transparency over who actually owns any or all of what Gen AI produces. These are huge concerns. So is the promotion of stereotypes and the dissemination of disinformation. Let's face it, even though Gen AI is constantly improving, it still hallucinates. This is where gamification can save the day. We all worry about how we're going to get through all of that course content in the semester. We feel the pressure all the time. Then, in addition, Students, more than ever before, need to know how to use Gen AI ethically and responsibly. Yes, this is my mantra, and I do use it over and over again. I tell it to my students all the time. I tell it to the faculty when I'm doing faculty development. I personally love gamification. So an escape room using Gen AI to teach students Gen AI literacy and course content at the same time is a perfect match. And escape rooms provide an innovative way to foster engagement, as well as enhancing critical thinking and leadership skills, and motivating students to apply learning to solve problems. 21st century skills. I designed this game for an environmental studies course. However, it can be used in any sort of discipline. The first step in building any escape room is to develop an intriguing scenario. You have to draw in the students, and what better way to do it than igniting their curiosity? You can pause the video here and take a minute to read the full scenario if you want. However, the gist of this game is serving as novice private investigators for a prestigious law firm that has been hired by the concerned citizens for manatee continuation. The student PIs must analyze reports and a fact sheet generated by their predecessor, who went by the initials GAI, otherwise known as ChatGPT. The student PIs quickly learned that GAI left the firm abruptly. In other words, GAI was fired due to shoddy detective work. The object of the game is to determine which are the genuine reasons for the appalling numbers of manatees dying off the Florida coast. Figure out who and or what are the culprits, and propose actionable recommendations to get justice for the manatees and to get help for them before it's too late. The clock is ticking. So the first escape room challenges students to verify each organization listed on the fact sheet, confirm the accuracy of the web addresses listed, and authenticate the facts on GAI's fact sheet. The student PIs are working on a tight deadline. A validated and corroborated fact sheet must be turned over to the judge. The pressure is on. Or if you go with Sherlock Holmes, the game's afoot. So here is an example fact sheet written by ChatGPT. You can pause the video here if you want to read all 10. I included this fact sheet here to demonstrate how this simple escape room teaches 21st century skills and generative AI literacy. In order to successfully escape, students must employ critical thinking, analytical, communication, and collaboration, if it's a group project, on the way to learning Gen AI literacy. So let's take one fact. This is fact number 9. And according to ChatGPT, Florida manatees are protected by both federal and state laws. They are listed as an endangered species under the U.S. Endangered Species Act and are also protected by the Florida Manatee Sanctuary Act. This so-called fact is false on many levels. Sorry. Although there is a website for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Crystal River National Wildlife Refuge, this website is completely non-existent. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service website does say that manatees are protected under the Endangered Species Act and under the Marine Mammal Protection Act. However, it makes no mention of manatees being protected by state laws. To further muddy the facts, in 2017, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service downgraded the manatees from endangered to threatened. To this day, House of Representative Bills H.R. 131, titled Manatee Protection Act of 2023, that would reinstate the manatees as endangered status, languishes in the Subcommittee on Water, Wildlife, and Fisheries. These are only 3 genuine facts that I uncovered without conducting any research, and they definitely contradict everything ChatGPT put up as this fact. Imagine what a deep dive into research would turn up. As you can see, there are all sorts of warning flags all over this fact sheet. Only fact 8 and 10 are actually true. The rest are either partially or completely false. And the ones attributed to the Smithsonian's National Zoo and Conservation Biology Institute, which does exist, are hallucinations because their website makes no mention of manatees at all. Thus, a simple AI-generated fact sheet can turn into quite a research project. Of course, the number of facts depends on the size of your class, the grade level, whether this is a group or individual undertaking, and whether it's for a midterm or final project. At the conclusion of the escape room, I hold a debriefing where students can discuss the flaws in GAI's fact sheet. Then they must research and write a report detailing the authenticated facts. So let's look at how I set up this escape room. My university learning management center system is Canvas, and Canvas Mastery Paths is a fantastic tool for creating escape rooms. Of course, you have the ticking clock throughout, and there are pathways for those who get the challenge correct on the first try, pathways for those who fail the first time and need a clue and a retake. And you'll also notice that the pathways, there are pathways within pathways for the students needing more clues and more retakes. Here's the first challenge. Notice that there is a ticking clock. If the student fails to answer in the time allotted, when the clock reaches 0, the student is going to receive this time is up notice. If the student answers it correctly, Mastery Pass automatically skips to the next challenge in the escape room. If the student answers before running out of time, but it's incorrect, Mastery Paths opens up a clue and a retake. Now, I must admit that it takes a lot of planning and quite some time to build out all of the pathways. It tends to make the module look very daunting. However, you're the only one who sees everything in every pathway in the module. The students only see the initial scenario and the initial escape room challenge. The rest is locked until they provide their answer to the first challenge. This lower one here is for a student who missed the first challenge, so it opened up a clue and the retake test. This is what the pathways look like for each challenge. Quiz question. The students see and receive points for their pathway alone. They never see or have access to the other pathways. Here's the best part. With each challenge, the gradebook will close off the other pathways so that the points in those other pathways will not be held against the student. You don't have to manually do this. It does it automatically. Notice that the retake is worth half as much as the original. With each new clue and retake, the points diminish by half. After the student PIs submit their fact sheet report, they receive GAI's reports and photographic evidence, all of which is generated by AI. In the next escape room, the student PIs expose new inaccuracies and apply what they are learning in order to escape the next escape room. Now, I know if you're not on Canvas, you're going, well, okay, what can I do? Well, here's a couple options. Nearpod, which is free to educators. You can set up an asynchronous escape room using Nearpod. I have done it. It works as well. It doesn't get into splitting off into different pathways based on what the student says, but you can do a good facsimile of an escape room using Nearpod for asynchronous classes. Or if you have a synchronous online class, Zoom is a great option, or Teams, Big Blue Button, etc. They all have breakout rooms, and you can use those to your advantage for escape rooms in the online synchronous environment. And then, of course, if you're teaching face-to-face classes, then this type of escape room requires very little setup for the in-person class, and it definitely lends itself very well to being a group activity. Here is my list of references if you are interested in learning more about what any of the research has to say on this. And as I promised, we will have time for questions. So I am going to, at this point, stop sharing my screen and open up the chat. All right, let's see what we have for questions. Back up here. Right. Full disclosure, I had eye surgery earlier this year, and my eyesight still hasn't quite settled down where it needs to be. All right. So, is gamification with AI now part of initial basic skills for employees at jobs with minimum requirement skills? I am thinking of fast food restaurants, grocery retail, convenience stores, etc. Business interests, I am thinking that time is the main concern in training, and some employees all into gamification and scenario, and some are not. That's a great question. I think gamification is a way to teach students how to use it responsibly and ethically. I think in a lot of businesses, there's going to be fast food, grocery stores, those kinds of things that are definitely going to be integrating aspects of AI, and they're going to need people to be interacting with AI that can interact very well with AI. In one of the earlier sessions, there was a great slide that AI is not going to take your job. However, a person who knows how to work with AI is going to take your job. So I think the more that we can get students prepared to be in a world that is AI integrated with humans, the better their chances, regardless of what kind of job or career they go into. I like this, especially the fact that it is required understanding the best practices, not just fault finding, spotting. Yes, I am a firm believer in Star Trek future. Sorry, I am a sci-fi fan, and I want it to be the Star Trek future, not the Terminator future. And I think if we help students to understand the ways that it's good to use AI, generative AI, how it's going to benefit them, but also the hallucinations and where it's not going to be good for them. That is going to make them good citizens for our future, because AI is here to stay. There's no doubt about that. If you can ask, wonder if you can ask ChatGPT to some false information. Yes, definitely you can. In fact, one of the reports that I asked it to generate for this environmental class, I specifically, instead of playing off of it being one of the facts that the manatee will get tangled up in fishing line, which they will, but we're talking about monofilament fishing line that you use when you go trout fishing, not in the deep sea fishing nets. But I ask it about if manatee got caught in the fishermen's nets. And it gave me this lovely report and had all of these sites and all of these authors of these appearing academic articles, all of which were bogus. So yes, you can ask it to give you something false without it actually knowing that you're asking it to give something false. Let's see, we have watch nature shows, didn't know about the manatees. Yes, unfortunately, one of the main things is industrial pollution has created algae growth on the surface, and that is blocking the sunlight from getting to the seagrasses, which is the main source of food for the manatees. And the manatees do not swim in deep water, which is why they don't get caught into the commercial fishermen's nets, because they can't survive in that cold of water. That's why they kind of hug the shores. Canvas mastery paths. Yes, it is absolutely wonderful. And if your institution is on Canvas, but you don't have mastery paths turned on, ask your Canvas admin to turn it on. Escape rooms, creative. Yes, I love escape rooms. And ultimately, if you want to get a great understanding of what escape rooms are and how they can work, watch the movie The Martian with Matt Damon. It is the quintessential escape room where the stakes couldn't be any higher. Anything goes wrong, he dies. So it's awesome for really taking a look at how escape rooms can be constructed and how each problem leads to the next one and each solution leads to the next one. Let's see. We have other questions here. You're wondering about the half points after giving the clues. You don't have to set it up that way. I just set it up that way so that hopefully it encourages the students to get it right the first time, to actually be doing the readings and things that they need to be doing in order to be able to answer those questions on the first try. But you can set it up to where there are no deductions and points if they have to get clues. I have done that with some face-to-face ones where they will send a student from the escape room to me to get clues about things, and did not take off any kind of points for it. Those games were pretty much in the face-to-face class, and that was participation points. So you participated, you got the points. Let's see. yes, Canvas has got some other great tools that I use in conjunction with creating the escape rooms. And I have used other tools that we have available at our institution, Trivia Maker, Respond to StudyMate, to create clues in order to open things, open boxes, open content if it's in something done in this mastery paths. So there's all kinds of ways that you can incorporate other tools and games within an escape room. Badger, yes, for awarding badges. I have awarded badges, and the badges are definitely geared to go to the students who get everything correct on the first try. So they come out with the badges. And badges are great incentive. A lot of students will work much harder if there's a badge on the line, simply because they want that badge. They think it looks cool, or it's going to say something with them. And you can definitely set it up to where the badges demonstrate skills and abilities that a prospective employer is not going to see if they look at a transcript of the classes that the students took, or descriptions of the classes. Badges are a great way to showcase those 21st century durable skills that may not necessarily be transparent within the coursework. And let's see. Creating games. Okay. Where can we go to learn more about using Mastery Paths? Well, it just so happens that one of the resources is a book of mine that is out from Routledge called Gamification and Higher Education, How-To Instructional Guide. And I have a forthcoming book from them that I'm hoping is going to be out somewhere around the end of next year. That is Gamifying Your College Classroom, Strategies to Foster Creative and Critical Thinking and Life Skills Across Disciplines. So yeah, shameless plug for the books. But I definitely go into a lot of detail about different types of games and ways to use the tools, as well as to use free tools that are available to everybody. So that can definitely give you some more ideas about how to set up escape rooms and what kind of tools to use. And definitely, I talk a lot about Mastery Paths and Canvas. All right, we're just about out of time. So I want to thank you all for coming. If you would like to send me your questions or would like other information or a PDF of this, here is my email address. And I love to hear from folks. So I am going to stop the recording now.